the Scottish people, they've been bled dry. It's like a constant drip, drip, drip. From the northern regions of the United Kingdom, or disunited kingdom, to England. And yet, the Scottish people pay more for their energy than the English. How can that be right? It should at least be on a level playing field, but it's not. Even with the energy price cap and what have you, the Scottish people are paying at least £200 more per year, per household, per bill, just on electricity. But when you consider where a considerable portion of the energy comes from for the UK, Scottish wind power, for instance, North Sea gas, and yet they're not being reimbursed for their natural resources. Don't seem fair, does it? And Tory mismanagement, what have you, is wasting huge amounts of energy, which is also adding to the bill. And for every household, it's having to pay, across the United Kingdom, it's having to pay an additional £50 odd a year just for the fact that they're wasting energy. For wasted wind power alone. So yes, wind power is costing you an additional £50 a year in wasted energy. Don't get me wrong, the rest of the energy that's being used isn't wasted. It's been used and it's cheap energy. But because our grid system across the United Kingdom, from the north to the south, is so antiquated, so old and incapable, it cannot shift the power. It doesn't know how to store the power. We need big battery systems and stuff like that. But no, we ain't got that yet. To be fair, they are working on that one. But last year, when I looked, I think it was December, the cost of turning off the wind turbines was £750 million a year. £750 million a year. And rising. Just because we have to turn them off if we cannot use the power. Isn't that quite a lot of money? Just wasted. Because that's what it is. It's waste. We've got these massive investments in these wind turbines and not use them to their full potential when we actually need the energy. And it's just because basically the cables aren't big enough. The high tension cables, that is, because what they do is they push it through transformers. You lose a certain amount of power in that as well. It gets chucked down the cables at high voltage, low amperage. So you can shift a lot of power down smaller cables. But they just ain't enough. We have no way of really moving any more electric, yet we keep producing more. Now for me, it makes more sense to have local production. And they're doing more and more of that here in France. For instance, every car park, supermarkets and what have you, that have more than 80 spaces have to cover 50% of their car parks with solar panels. But you see, that's like saying, I don't know, local energy for local people. That rhymes with something else, doesn't it, British jobs for British people. That insular xenophobic kind of trope. It just makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Local production. Or put the flipping cables in so you can move the electric so it's not costing you almost £1 billion a year. Wasted money. Which the bill payer is having to pay. See, that's akin to these water companies wanting to charge more money. Thames Water wants to charge you an additional 99%. They want to double your bill to pay for, well, probably actually to pay their hand money over to shareholders, probably. Their argument is to, the infrastructure and stuff. I've got old antiquated systems, we need to do upgrades and stuff. 60-odd billion has been removed from water authorities, effectively, and they obviously got privatised. 60 billion since it was privatised, lost to shareholders. You see, this is madness. This is madness. No wonder the Scottish people want to leave the Union. I don't blame them. I wish it wasn't necessary, but it clearly is. Don't blame them at all. It's sad it's come to this, but it was inevitable, really. You know what? If you keep treating people as the other and don't embrace them, well, of course, the people aren't going to be happy, are they? And those who don't want independence, if you ask me, they're probably just cowards. They believe scaremongering. That Scotland can't cope on its own. Well, if Scotland can't cope on its own and needs taxpayers' money from England, why don't you just let it go? Why don't you just let it have independence? No, because it's not true. England is bleeding Scotland. England's like the Sweeney Todd. It really is. And I'm English. You can't deny, well, it's clear and obvious in front of your face. Scotland has an abundant wealth of resources, from minerals, highland farming, wind power, North Sea gas. Goes on and on. I'll never forget Scotch whisky. I don't know. It just feels a bit immoral. It really does. It feels immoral to me that the Scottish people are having to suffer English rule. Whether it be from the Tories or whether it be the new Tories, if you know what I mean. Blimey. How do you feel about that? If you're English, for instance, do you think Scotland should have its freedom from Westminster rule? I know you say it's devolved, but really, they haven't got that much power. Central government basically call the shots. You tell me, please leave it in the comments down below. I imagine my Scottish friends on the channel, what have you. Yeah, I can imagine what you think. I really can. And I understand. I do. It's obvious, really, isn't it? But the shoe on the other foot. Us English, if for instance we were being ruled by Hollywood or whatever it's called, how do we feel? How would we feel if we were being ostracised by the government? We kind of are anyway, to be fair, by the Tories, but, you know. How do you feel like you've been invaded? It's like the people in Gaza, isn't it, really? People are happy to stand up for poor Palestinian people in Gaza. What about the people in Scotland being invaded by the English? Hey, tell me, please leave in the comments down below. Toodaloo.